Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. We are live. We're back on this Wednesday. I believe it's February 16th. Back with another episode of Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T. We're finna get into it today. Listen, before we get into it, we have a milestone to celebrate, so I'm going to jump straight into it. I know it may not be big to some, but it's a big deal to me. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen. Yes, we went over 100 subscribers over the weekend and going into Monday. So we're going to celebrate that, and that's because of you. So I want to shout out to some of our new subscribers real fast. We're going to shout out my boy Zorton43, Grizzly Bear Rug, Rashad Ross, and my man Peter Kidd over at Windy City Breeze, frequent friend of the channel. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks to everyone that I didn't call out to help us get over 100 subscribers. Listen, we have a great show for you today. We're going to jump into and dive into Luke Getsy's offense and what it may look like going into the new season for the Chicago Bears. So I did my homework. I broke down the film, and I think you're going to really enjoy this breakdown. So if you're ready to get into it, let's go. Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T.
Welcome to Chicago Bears 360. Keeping it a buck with Coach T.
Contra.
Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence. On the road to them Benjis, I feel my teeth for diamonds. I'm high as fuck in the sky, you would've thought I'm pilot. I'm from Chicago, it get ugly, fill the streets with violence. Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence.
Past, present, future. We bear down.
So yeah, we back at Chicago Bears 360 with your boy Coach T. And again, don't forget to go to the channel. If you like the content that we're putting down, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications so you don't miss anything. This is all Chicago Bears 360 broken down, or Chicago Bears football broken down from a coach's perspective. So if you want to get into the X's and O's of football and understanding what's going on the field with Chicago Bears football, you want to be in the know, right? You want to be a more intelligent follower of the team, right? In terms of X's and O's, man, I challenge you. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so you'll know. So when you're debating with your friends, you can win them arguments with X's and O's and pure logic, and you don't have to speculate. So let's get into the next segment, man. Listen, I'm excited to bring today's film breakdown to you. As promised, I told you I was going to break down Luke Getsy's offense. I was going to look at his past, his pedigree, and see what's in his past, and so we can understand what they expect with the upcoming season. If you're like me, you can't wait till Bears football starts off again, and you want to know what they expect. You want to know what they anticipate. Well, look, Coach T did the homework for you, and I broke it down. So this first set of film breakdown we're going to watch is going to be a breakdown of comparing Sean McVay's zone scheme, inside-outside zone scheme, which Coach Nagy kind of used last year, compared to a Kyle Shanahan style gap power scheme. Now, my hopes is, and what I've been hearing is, Luke Getsy runs more of a Kyle Shanahan style gap power scheme. And I'm going to compare it in this first video breakdown. So I'm going to jump straight into it. I hope you enjoy it. Listen, hang in there with me. Ask questions in the comments. I'm going to read those comments, and then we're going to get back to you on the answers to those questions after the film breakdown. So let's get into it.
So I'm going to begin today's session with a quick comparison of a traditional inside-outside zone and a limited variation or countermeasures or answers that run concept has compared to a Shanahan power gap concept, right? And Matt Nagy last year used a similar run concept as LA does with a inside-outside zone jet sweep counter off of it, right? Those are pretty much the three basic variations that you're going to get out of it. So the emphasis on the outside zone is catching the seal right here, right? So you're going to get the offensive lineman stepping strong side, and it's just about being more, bigger, faster, more athletic, and then you're going to get the running back to try and take advantage of that seal to get to the outside, right? So if we just move the tape forward, right, clear it up, move the tape forward a little bit. Right. Jet action and watch the offensive line motion, right? These guys here are just trying to get a seal right here, right? Clear it up. So the running back can get to the outside and just be, outside. You don't have your defense thinking, trying to guess, any kind of strategy to it. That's why I don't like the concept as a meat and potatoes, because if these guys can just, sprint to the outside and be more athletic than your offensive lineman, if these guys can beat their blocks, then there's nothing to it, right? So that's one play you're going to see off of that kind of, concept, the zone concept. The other variation that you're going to see is basically the running back hitting a gap on the inside, right? He's forcing the inside. These guys coming off the ball, still stepping to a side strong, but they're trying to win win their battle one-on-one, and they give the running back the option of where to pick the hole on the inside and get up there, right? So that's inside zone in a nutshell, and really that's why I don't like it. You have basically two plays off of it that you could run. Easy for defense to adjust to. Now, as I mentioned with the last play, the zone concepts don't have that many variations of countermeasures or answers, right? So you're going to get inside and outside zone like the play I just showed you. And then once the defense adjusts to you beating them with that, what they're going to begin to do is slide additional bodies to that side of the line of scrimmage, to the strength of your formation, so you don't get that seal on the edge, right? If you're gashing them with the outside zone, they're going to begin to slide bodies over to stop you. And once they stop you, what's your answer as an offensive coordinator? So you come back with a boot off of the zone action. So watch here. Again, you might be familiar with this concept. So, again, and LA runs a sort of split zone. So you're going to always see, and you probably saw this, remember seeing this from Matt Nagy's offense, where the tight end comes across the formation and we just run the ball up on the inside, right? That's split zone, right? So what they do once the defense adjusts to this is come back with play action off the split zone. Then you'll have, the tight end in some kind of crossing route here coming across the formation. You'll get a runoff. Usually get a runoff on the front side to run the safeties off, and then some kind of cross formation out here. So to give the quarterback two options, you'll have one guy hit somewhere in that defense there, one guy there, and then you have one guy running deep, right, to get a guy open. Those are the three variations or the three plays you basically have off zone concepts. Now, next, I'm going to show you the difference in a Kyle Shanahan type of run offense, which is more gap and power. So I'm going to attempt to explain the Kyle Shanahan gap power system in less than 5 minutes. If you've been following me any amount of time, you understand and you know how much I love Kyle's gap power systems, right? So if you divide the field in half, straight through the quarterback to center, right? What Kyle does is try to take advantage of the numbers on one side of the line of scrimmage and take advantage of the defensive shading to the strength, right? So if you look at this formation and count the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, football is played with 11 men on each side of the line of scrimmage, right? And what the defense has to do, it has to adjust to the strength of the formation. But in this case, San Francisco's formation is even. So what do defenses do? They shade to what we call the field side of the formation. And what the field is the widest side of the field from the hash mark to the sideline, right? That's the field side. The shortest side of the field from the hash mark to the sideline is called the boundary, right? So if we clear this up, you'll see, again, San Francisco's formation is even. What San Francisco does here, right, in the start of the play is they shift the fullback in motion to their right side. And what you'll notice is the defense adjusts to the formation no longer being balanced, right? So you see the linebackers, you see the defensive ends or the outside linebackers shift over. You see all these guys shift over to the strength. And usually they give some kind of call with a letter beginning with L, like lion or lightning. That means shift left, or rain, shift right. So they'll give the strength call. So when he shifted over, they say lightning, right? Now, what Kyle does is try to take advantage of the numbers on one side of the line of scrimmage now that the defense is shifted to the right side. So now, if you draw that invincible line again, you'll notice that the defense is going to have more men on this side of the line of scrimmage than they do on this side. And what Kyle is going to try to do now is he's going to pull bodies from this side to get over to this side, to the other side, to create a numbers mismatch. So he's going to send his fullback in motion and lead him up in the hole. Send his fullback in motion, lead him off the hole. He's going to hit the first man. He's going to send a tight end behind him to lead up in the gap and attack the first man he sees, usually a linebacker, and that's going to create a numbers mismatch. Because if you count the numbers, if you clear it up and count the numbers, if we get those bodies over there, there's 1, 2, 3, right? 4, 5 against 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you create a numbers mismatch, and that's the basics, fundamentals of why Kyle Shanahan attacks defenses the way he does. So if we clear this up, and next we take a look at how do we block this up front with the offensive line. Similar to zone, a regular zone, but usually with a gap scheme, it's blocked down or opposite of the play, direction the play's going, right? So you'll see the offensive do what we call block down, kick out, right? So what that means is the offensive line is going to block down away from the direction the play is going, and you're going to kick out with the pullers. Guy's going to kick out there, outside linebacker. This guy's going to kick into the hole and attack the first linebacker he sees. That's basic gap. And the reason why they call it gap is they're attacking a particular gap, a gap right here, right? So if you play football or you understand a little bit about football, you know these gaps are labeled by alphabet. That's A gap, B gap, C gap. They're attempting to attack perhaps the B gap here, right, in this lane by pulling guys to that, right, and manipulating the numbers on the formation. So if we allow this to run, again, fullback goes in motion, defense shifts over to the right of the offense. Now we're going to come back, send the fullback in motion to start the play, and he's going to go in motion to start the play, and he's going to attack the first man that shows, right? The first defender that shows in the formation, right? That outside linebacker, that's his guy. He's creating the lane by attacking him. The fullback, the tight end, is supposed to attack the first guys that shows in the hole, which should be the safety, right? If this play goes perfectly, it would be a safety because you have this corner being blocked by the wide receiver. Everybody's accounted for. But I'm going to show you how this play goes wrong. Right? Your all-pro left tackle misses his block here. He misses his block, and that's why this play gets shut down. So, again, you have to block down and kick out. So he took an improper step, and he goes to the wrong. He got himself in a bad position. So the linebacker steps in the hole, and Trick Williams misses here, right? Maybe too late, forgot his assignment, right? So if he hits this guy, then the fullback gets his linebacker, and the tight end is up in the hole, and he's going for the safety. You create a lane here for the running back to get through, and he should be able to hit the sideline and hit his head on the goalpost, right? So we clear this up and we run this back and see why this doesn't work, right? But that's the overall design of a power gap scheme. But overall, and the entire concept is to try to manipulate numbers on one side of the formation and get it imbalanced and create more power or more numbers on the other side. But what I like about Shanahan is it could be any of these guys up front. It could be the fullback. It could be the tight end that's pulling. This concept originated with pulling guards and tackles. So don't be surprised to see, the Bears bring in more athletic guys at the guard and tackle positions. But the requirement, if they're going to run a true Kyle Shanahan systems, is their offensive line be athletic and quick and able to pull across formations and move so we can manipulate the numbers and get in holes. And also, don't be surprised if you see wide receivers that's actually pulling on the inside of the offensive lineman, getting blocks and getting to the next label to manipulate numbers. Or you'll see in his system, you'll see a wide receiver line up wide, go in motion, right? And they'll get a crack back on the outside linebacker. What Kyle loves to do is, and in his system, what he does is manipulate the numbers or always gives his linemen and his players a blocking advantage. And this may be a staple, or I hope it's a staple of Luke Getsy's offense or run concepts with the Chicago Bears, because he's said to be a Kyle Shanahan disciple.
So there you have it, the first breakdown. Again, it's your boy Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. There you have it, the first breakdown of the Sean McVay zone scheme versus the Kyle Shanahan power gap concepts, right, in the run game. And I wanted to show that because, again, I've done my research, and it's rumored that Luke Getsy is a kind of fan or disciple of the Kyle Shanahan concepts. But I'm gonna begin to piece it together as you look at the next clips I show you, because I dig deeper into his past. And the next clip is going to show you one of the people that he studied under is Joe Moorhead. I believe he's the current offensive coordinator for Oregon, but he was at Penn State with Joe Moorhead. And you're going to see how Joe Moorhead kind of meshes the two concepts that we saw from Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. So understand those guys were all together at one point. So they believe in different things, and that happens in coaches, right? You take a little bit of piece from here and there. And I think what I saw in the Joe Moorhead tape is Joe does a great job of meshing both of those concepts. Again, I don't hate zone concept. I just don't like it as a meat and potatoes run concept, right? Because it's just big on big. You out muscling your man. It doesn't get the linebackers having to think about blocks and people pulling across the formation. It doesn't mess with your eyes. A thinking football player is a slow football player, and that's why I like gap power over the zone concept. So let's get into this next clip, and you guys can comment down in the comment. I'll answer you in the comment section, but let's get into the clips and let me know what your thoughts is as we go through the film.
So the purpose of this film session is dive into some of what we can expect from a Luke Getsy offense. And what I've learned is Luke is a Joe Moorhead disciple who is the current or former offensive coordinator at the University of Oregon. And he also worked with Luke Getsy at the Penn State University. So, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but similar to a Kyle Shanahan style gap offensive run concepts, I'm seeing something that I think is encouraging, because I prefer gap power over a straight up zone. Now, this is going to look like a zone read traditionally, But to me, this is a power concept because it entails, or it has a few elements, key elements of what I consider gap power schemes, right? And you're going to see me describe this later in a Kyle Shanahan system. It involves the manipulation of numbers from one side of the line of scrimmage to the other by pulling guards and pulling tackles from one side of the line of scrimmage to the other to create a numbers mismatch, right? So if football is played with 11 men on each side of the ball, there's going to be 6 on one side and 5 on the other. You want to pull bodies from one side of the line of scrimmage to the other to give you a numbers advantage in blocking. So usually what that entails is offensive lineman and or tight ends or wide receiver, for wide receivers blocking down, or you're always going to see a block down and you're going to see a kick out, right? So the guard here pulling will be the kick out guy, right? And he's either going to kick out and hit the first man he sees, or he's going to kick out. In this case, he's going to avoid the first man he sees because the quarterback is reading him and they're going to let that guy go. Quarterback reads him and they're trying to get out to the perimeter here, right? But the fundamental thing that you're going to see with a power gap scheme is block down, kick out, pulling guards, pulling tackles, pulling tight ends, right? And this is a staple, again, of a Joe Moorhead offense. But again, if we're expecting or we're investigating what we may see in a Luke Getsy offense, then this is similar to what I've been hearing is a true, what we could be seeing is in a Kyle Shanahan power gap versus true zone concept, a la what Nagy did last year, or what Sean McVay runs, and you're going to see that in the film a little bit later. But if we let this play out, you'll see the block down. So watch the offensive linemen, even though they step straight forward, the concept is, again, block down, right? And you see the pulling guard, he's going to kick out. But instead of hitting the first man, which usually in a power concept, the read comes is he's going to avoid the guy that he would normally kick out on and let that guy has to read the quarterback, give or keep, because the quarterback is a threat to get up in here and through this gap. So they're basically combining zone read and power concepts, right? That's all Joe Moorhead did right here. Combine zone read and power concepts, right? So they're avoiding the read guy, which is this linebacker right here. They're not even going to block him altogether because he has to watch the quarterback. And they're going to use that pulling guard to get to the outside and score a touchdown. So this play would probably be a good play once you get in the red zone, as they use it here. This is a perfect play to use in the red zone, because as you get into the red zone, close to the red zone, you know, the field is tighter, right? The field is tighter. You have less real estate to work with. So you almost you're forced to add your quarterback to the run scheme, because essentially it's 11 defenders versus 10 men if you don't, right? So now you got 10 guys versus 11. If the quarterback's out of play, he's no threat as a runner. So ideally, you want to add the quarterback in a zone read, some kind of zone read or RPO concept. And in this case, they get to the outside and they score the touchdown. And again, this is some kind of, I want to call it a power gap, a power zone, right? A power zone. Power is always going to be a pulling guard or tackle. That gives it a power look. So I'm going to call this power zone, right? Power outside zone or something like that, I would call this, right? And the concept, again, is block down, kick out, but also add a read element to get the defense thinking. But great concept overall. Again, this is a concept of Joe Moorhead, but also Joe Moorhead being a teacher, if you will, to our new offensive coordinator in Chicago, Luke Getsy. And I talk about this later when I show this Kyle Shanahan uh, gap concept. Again, the whole idea with these gap power scheme is to manipulate numbers, but also make very aggressive blocks or very aggressive blocking concepts. And one of the things I love in a gap power scheme is the use of the toss sweep. But good gap power coaches know how to take advantage of the numbers and smartly run concepts or plays like a toss sweep. So instead of you just lining up in your regular, loose spread gun formation or 2x2 formation, you see the wide receiver right here coming in motion in 2x2. So you got 2x2, but they send a wide receiver in motion across the formation, and he's just not coming across the formation just for eye candy. He has a particular assignment, a job. So instead of running him on a Z fly or jet sweep motion completely, we run him on what I call my offense a flea, right? Fly is long, flea is short, right? So flea motion, and the whole idea for him coming in this flea is for him to get a crack back on the defensive end or outside linebacker, right? That's another staple of a gap zone sweep, a gap power scheme. But gap power scheme incorporates the top sweep, so you want to take advantage of all sectors of the field, right?
So it's your boy Coach T back. Obviously, we were having audio issues right there when we were filming that. I'm not gonna let that play on to frustrate the audience and waste your time. Do me a favor. Again, if you like the breakdown so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit those notification bells. We still working out some technical difficulties over here. Still new to this. Just went over 100 subscribers, but we going to keep grinding, man, until we perfect the process. That's what it boiled down to, man. Just like we want our teams to be, man, we got to work hard at anything we want to be great at. So, just like coaching and playing the game, man, we just got to study the game a little bit. So I'm gonna go back and watch the film, and I'm gonna break down the film and see and fix our audio issues. It just boils down like that. All right, so but you see what we were getting into right there, right? You see what I was trying to attempt to do. What I was attempting to do is basically connect the dots. Luke Getsy, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Joe Moorhead at Oregon and Penn State, or formerly at Penn State. He's a combination of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, right? Sean McVay likes the traditional zone, inside outside zone with the jet motion, right? Uh, Sean McVay likes that stuff. Kyle Shanahan prefers a gap, pulling guards, pulling tackles, pulling tight ends from one side of the line of scrimmage to the other side of the line of scrimmage to manipulate the numbers, but also to get the linebackers thinking, right? Get the linebackers' eyes jacked up so they can't just run fast to the ball and make plays. That's the style I prefer. It's more intimidating. It's more physical. But I'm also going to show you how Coach Getsy kind of applied those concepts in Green Bay and how he kind of answered the defense's response to the inside outside gap and the power gap concepts with the RPO and how the RPO answers any kind of adjustments defenses make to it. So let's get into it. Here you go. We're breaking it down with now we jumping into some film of our rivals and our new coach, Coach Getsy, calling plays at Green Bay.
Yeah, I know. We don't want to take a look at any Green Bay footage, but we have to in this case because our new offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, came from Green Bay, and we want to see how, again, these Kyle Shanahan, Joe Moorhead concepts were used in Green Bay. We're trying to take a peek at his past and bring it up to his future. So you're going to see a familiar kind of concept right here that we've seen in other tape, right? So we saw in the Kyle Shanahan tape, we saw in the Joe Moorhead tape how they use zone. So you're going to see a familiar, some kind of crossing motion to get the defense to move and adjust the strength of the formation to the opposite side of their running zone. So that's why they send the running back here in motion, right? Because the defense has to shift the strength of the formation to that side. So you're going to see him go in motion back here, right? Clear that up. I like to use red. You're going to see him go in motion right here, and the defense should adjust the strength of the formation to this side, right? And then you're going to see the basics of zone. The zone concept is the offensive line are all stepping strong side to the zone, right? And we're trying to hit the running back either to the inside or outside. I think this one is inside zone, right? So that's the basic concept. Really, again, it's not a whole lot of getting the defense to think other than getting the defense to shift the power of the formation to the opposite side and running back to the strength, right? That's the basics of it. But we're going to build on this in the next clip and see how each one of these concepts and how Luke Getsy has a combination of a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Joe Morgan, how all those concepts mesh together, right? So again, shift, send them running back in motion to shift the defensive strength, and then run back straight up, man on man. Nothing fancy, nothing about manipulating numbers here. We're just getting big on big, and we're getting nasty and trying to let the running back be an athlete right here. So that's that. So this play is more of a Kyle Shanahan, Joe Moorhead power concept. So remember when I showed the San Francisco tape, I drew this kind of line in the middle of the field. And remember, the overall concept is to manipulate numbers from one line to the side of the line to the others to take advantage of the weak side or weak side numbers of the defense, or get a numbers advantage all together. So here they're going to run the wide receiver in motion to what we call the boundary, right? Which is in most cases where the formation is even is the weak side, right? And he's going to lead block up on him. But remember also the key blocking technique or key blocking concept is block down, kick out. So you're going to block down with the guys you're not pulling, and you're going to kick out with the backside guard or tackle and or tight end. So you're going to see in this case, it's cleared up. We get this moving. Snap of the ball. Everybody's blocking down. You see the guard and the tight end show. Guards here, tight end there. The guard is supposed to block the first person that shows, first threat to the line of scrimmage. The defensive end or outside linebacker, tight end is supposed to get up in the hole, get the linebacker and or safety. This guy blocks this guy. And remember, they create a lane or attack a certain gap. They're supposed to create a lane here for the linebacker or the running back, to get up in. That's basic Kyle Shanahan power gap concepts. It's a combination of zone and power. So I like to call it zone, power zone. But yes, that's it in a nutshell. You see how Luke Getsy kind of combines the McVay, Kyle Shanahan system to formulate what Joe Moorhead runs in a power gap scheme. But out of all the videos, you see how it kind of works together and what we possibly may see. So every good offensive coordinator has to have answers and counters to defensive adjustments to what they may be doing. So here's a good answer to both a zone and a power zone concept that Green Bay ran against Minnesota. Remember, it's all about manipulation of numbers, right? So if on offense, I begin to gouge the defense with the zone concepts, right? So we're just constantly hitting for big plays up in the middle and gouging them. One of the responses on the defensive end is they're going to walk a safety down into the box, right? So if we count the numbers right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So this guy right here, the safety is walked down in coverage, but also to help with run support, right? On the inside, clear. help with run support on the inside, right? So one thing you're going to do is have answers off of your zone read concepts. So you're going to run it similar to zone on offense, and it's going to look the same. Everything should look the same, but have different variations. So offensive line is blocking like they're doing an inside-outside zone. Running back is going to lead up in here, right? So keep your eyes on Aaron's actions, right? But to counter this safety walking down in the box, you have to have a pass that takes advantage of all this real estate that's open out here, right? Here, right, and here. You want to take advantage of both of these quadrants because single high safety usually means they're in some kind of man coverage or cover three. So they either locked up in man or they're in cover three, where this safety has middle third, this safety has outer third, this corner, both corners have outer thirds, and the middle safety has middle third, right? So you want to take advantage of these empty areas out here, the flats, right? How do you do that? You do that by running, making it look like zone read. So everybody blocked down, running back leads up. Quarterback's eyes is reading the receivers. These receivers are going to run off the safety in the corner because this guy has outer third responsibility anyway, right? So this guy has that outside third responsibility anyway. This guy has to respect both the run and pass. So they're going to run this guy off, and then they're going to just sneak Devontae Adams out in the flat. Clear this up, wrong color. Clear Devontae Adams out in the flat after they run these guys off, right? So here, they're going to run these guys off, clear the flat, and then watch the zone read action, running back action. It looks like the same play, but it's a RPO. And again, the RPO is used as a countermeasure to them walking a safety down in the box. Clear. Them walking a safety down in the box to stop the zone read. So you run the zone read to set up the RPO. And the RPO, again, looks like run this guy off. It looks like this. Block these guys out like zone. Running back comes across. These guys run the safety in the corner off. Then you get your wide receiver in the flat. Everything looks the same, right? So if we clear this up and run the play, keep your eye on Aaron's eyes. He's making it look like zone read. Everything looks like zone read, but it's not. Hits the wide receiver in the flat. Guy gets upfield, makes a play, right? That's one of the answers, of countermeasures to zone read or power zone that we may see this upcoming season.
So there you have it again. Another variation of something you may see from Coach Getsy in this coming off season. I mean, this coming season, I didn't have a chance and opportunity to go into the pass game because I didn't want the video to be too long. But if you want me to break that down, listen, do me a favor, make a suggestion in the comments. Let me know. Say, hey, Coach T, let's see some more pass concepts and stuff like that, and I'll break down the film for you if you want to see that. So do me a favor again. If you like the kind of content that I'm providing, do me a favor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bells. And let's run it in a hyperdrive and get it to over 200. We're going to grow together as a channel. You're going to be a part of the Chicago Bears 360 family. I'm going to get to know you. You're going to get to know me by the comments. Shout out to my man Jay Sanders in the comments. Commented. Shout out to my Bloody Mary commentary in the comments. I see you right there. Thanks for joining the live. We're going to grow the channel. So this next segment we're going to get into, it's one of my favorite segments I do. I introduced it last week, and it's time for the Drunk Uncle segment. You know I got to bring it to you. You know I got to give it to you. What is the Drunk Uncle segment? The Drunk Uncle segment or Uncle segment is anything that I see on social media that's Bears related, that's crazy and that's off the wall, or it just may be something I fundamentally disagree with from an X's and O's standpoint, will be nominated for the Drunk Uncle Award. So this week's um, this week's Drunk Uncle Award nominee goes to your boy Max Markham and Allen Robinson himself. Those are the Drunk Uncle of the Award, Drunk Uncle of the Week award nominees, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna break it down, football terms of why I'm nominated these guys as the Drunk Uncle Award. Basically, commentary going on Twitter about Matt Nagy sabotaging Allen Robinson, right? And on the surface, it sounds good, but from an X's and O's standpoint, from a coach's perspective, it doesn't sound good. And I like Allen Robinson as a football player, but as a number one wide receiver, I don't like him. And then going into this past season, I said that Allen Robinson, prior to the season, I said that Allen Robinson is going to experience a numbers drop off similar to what he's describing right here. So you see right here, he's showing, hey, I went for 154 catches, 151 catches, the 66. And the narrative is that Matt Nagy basically sabotaged him in the season. And he's running with that. And the reason why I nominated Allen Robinson is he picking up with the narrative and running with it, basically riding the wave of the narrative that people are putting out there that Matt Nagy sabotaged him. And I see it this way. I see it differently. I see it from an X's and O's standpoint, right? So I would have questions for Allen Robinson if he was sitting right in front of me and ask him these questions. If does he really believe that he can play the X and Y, that he's a better X or I'm not X or Y, X or Z than Darnell Mooney and Goodwin, right? Right? Those positions, the X and the Z, one of the two, have to force the defense to play two high safeties, right? Two high safeties. You want to keep two high safeties back because you have the deep threat. You have the threat of somebody could go over the top, right? And open up the offense, right? So they can go over the top and beat you deep. So I would ask the question, does Allen Robinson have the kind of game breaking speed that forces a defense to keep two high safeties? And the reason why you want to keep two high safeties is because that opens up the running game. Think about the numbers game. If I have two high safeties, two cornerbacks, right, that's four. Then I have a 7-man box. A 7-man box is easier to run against than an 8-man box. If I don't have a deep threat or somebody that could go over the head of the defense is only going to begin to walk safeties down in the box when I begin to become successful at running the ball. So I would ask Allen the question that, do you think you can command two high safety or command a double team in any offense? That's the first part of my argument. The second part of my argument, and the reason why I said going into this past season that his numbers were going to be less and that we should not pay him over 20 million or whatever he was asking for. The reason why I'm saying we should not pay him was because that I knew because we had Justin, and Justin Fields reached the entire field, that he was going to get less looks. He was going to get less looks. So, in my opinion, Matt Nagy didn't scheme him out of the looks. His skill set schemed him or basically sabotaged his career because he was least in separation among wide. He's amongst the leader in least in separation amongst wide receivers. So he doesn't have that game breaking speed that causes for him to be a true X or a true number one wide receiver that'll command that two high safety look or that double coverage over the top. So you got to compare Allen Robinson versus Mitch Trubisky, who pretty much keyed on. We all saw it for 2 seasons. He keyed on Allen Robinson, and the evidence was there, right? He keyed on Allen Robinson pretty much. 154 catches, 151 catches, and 66, right? That's where he keyed on Allen Robinson most plays, and that's where all his likely interceptions, and his interceptions came from because he was keying on one receiver, whereas you get Justin Fields, he come in, even as a rookie, Justin Fields knows how to read basically basic coverages and is going to go through the fundamentals of going through his progressions. And I have examples in other videos where Justin basically comes up to the line of scrimmage, sees two high safety, recognizes cover two zone, and drops a dime in between a corner and a safety. Mitch Trubisky couldn't do that. Not in his first year, his second year, his third year, right? So my pushback and why I'm calling these guys the drunk uncle and why I'm giving them the drunk uncle of the week award is because ain't no way, ain't no way, ain't no way I'm gonna give you a pass, man. When basically this guy basically is he had a one read quarterback compared to a guy that reads the entire field. You're gonna get less looks. You're gonna get less catches. And then you didn't even beat out the two guys, the second year guy, and then you had the other guy that we signed in free agency you didn't beat out. So you get the drunk uncle award with it, with along with your boy Mark. Y'all can continue to run with that narrative, but again, the tape don't lie, and I'm not buying into it. So there you have it. Listen again. If you like what we putting out, you like the kind of content I'm putting out, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate every subscription. I appreciate everybody that follows. If you don't catch the live, you didn't catch the live, you're welcome to go back and watch it on the replay. Comment, like, share, debate. I don't care. Just run up the algorithm. Just like, just follow. You're free to express your opinions. I've been wrong before. It won't be the last time I'll be wrong. This is just one man's opinion, but I'm always going to break it down from the X's and O's perspective. So, again, thanks for joining live. We're going to be back Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're coming back with another session. Put in the comments what you want to see in the film session, and perhaps I might break that down for you. But again, thanks for joining live. And this is Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. We are out.